Hi, I hope people are joining us. It's Andrea Strang here at Gallery 222, actually at the gallery. We have close to home exhibits still up till Saturday. It flew this month. So this Saturday is the last day for this exhibit. So please come out. There's 18 artists work on the wall, and they've graciously are donated some of the proceeds to the Chester County COVID-19 Rapid Response Fund. So God love them. It's a great cause and it's amazing work. So please come out and see the show before it comes down. Today we are talking to our plein air artist. So I had reached out to them and I said, could you please give me, a list of awards that you all have? And the list was beyond. So I'm just going to go ahead and list the plein air events or competitions they've been involved with. Sometimes, just getting into a competition is an award. So today we have Jacalyn Beam. She is involved with the Plein Air Annapolis, Brandywine Conservatory, Land Art Plein Air, Brandywine Valley Plein Air, and the Bucks County Plein Air. We have Elaine Lisle here today, and she is involved or has been involved with the Plein Air Easton, Plein Air Annapolis, Philly Sketch Club, Brandywine Valley Plein Air. All award winning, phenomenal. And then lastly is Valerie Craig. So she is here today, and she's been involved with the Plein Air Easton, Wayne Plein Air, which is right down the street. I wonder if that's happening this year. Cape Ann Plein Air, Olmsted Plein Air Invitational, and then Art and the Open, Wexford, Ireland, where she won this amazing award over there. So they're all award winning. We have such a talented group here today. So please welcome them all. Hey, how is everyone?
Good.
Good. Soon we'll be out of these boxes and actually sitting at a round table talking. So let's start with Jacalyn. How did you fall into plein air work? Is it something you were trained in immediately? Did you, what's your journey?
No, I had no idea what plein air was really. I was walking on the beach in Rehoboth and saw Denise Dumont painting. And I had always wanted to paint, and she was gracious enough to talk about plein air and just give me a few tips about how to start. And she's a wonderful plein air painter and comrade, and very helpful to all artists.
Oh, that's fabulous. So I want to hear from each of you. So Elaine, can you tell us how you fell into it?
Well, I wouldn't say I actually fell into it. I actually we did plein air back in when I was in art school, and we didn't call it plein air. We just called it, painting outside. And I've always used it as a tool for, doing studies and then doing larger pieces in the studio. But in the last 10 to 15 years, it's sort of become a giant craze. Gotten more and more. And so, I've enjoyed the camaraderie part of that, but I've always used it.
Yes. And then Valerie, what's your journey?
My journey is I went to college for nursing, and right after college, I took a course in watercolor. And I remember the teacher had us go outside the Smithsonian and paint the merry-go-round. And sitting out there, I thought, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. And ever since then, to me, painting outside, that's just what informs me.
Oh, see, that's fabulous. Now, what would you say? I'll start with you, Elaine. Has been like the most incredible place, that you've been involved in with painting. I know you and I have talked about Maine. We had a big Maine exhibit last year, and I just thought that's really opened my eyes to what a cool place, and gave me a sense of what a competition or camaraderie or all that is about. So talk about that, because I just love hearing stories.
Well, I do love taking trips and painting with friends. Even just one or two of us. What came to my mind right away when you said that was actually painting in Provence. Where I actually
talk about that.
Valerie came along on a small painting trip with another friend. What was that, like 12 or 13 years ago? Oh, there we are. That's in France, but not exactly Provence. But it was really, really fun because you feel like you're, in the place where it all started. And
Van Gogh world.
The light was amazing, and the lavender, and so that was a really fun trip. But I love painting, taking trips and painting and having it be all painting, no worries, nothing else.
Yes, that's fantastic. And these are organized trips that you do yourself with
yeah, I'm just talking about informal organized trips, but they're doing a plein air competition is different. That's very specific to, following the rules of the competition and creating a certain amount of work and getting it all ready to show, all in the space of sometimes less than a week.
Yeah, so that's special.
Yeah.
So Jacalyn, you actually, I remember, was it last year? It had to be the year before. I remember you were saying, I got myself involved in too many plein air competitions. It was like boom, 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 boom. So tell us about how that's all set up.
Well, you apply a year ahead of time, and you hope that you get in like a third of them if you're lucky. And so I was really lucky, but I'm glad that I did it. It was so exciting to see so much of the world and meet new friends and new artists in different areas. So I wouldn't have changed it.
Yeah, that's fabulous. And now, Valerie, you went to Ireland. So how that was a couple of years ago, right? Tell us about that. That was a huge deal.
Yeah, that was really exciting. I've been to that event, I think 3 or 4 times. And I've actually gotten to teach during the event. And the camaraderie, the friendships over there, that event is unique because they let anybody in, maybe up to 200 artists participate, and everybody's encouraging everyone else. Everybody just celebrates each other's work. The awards are great, but they're like the last kind of like, that's just like an extra. They have a costume party at the end where we all dress up in as famous artists or something crazy and just have fun together. Not to mention the scenery is pretty nice.
Yeah, that is funny. Well, that's the one thing I noticed. I hosted the Malvern Plein Air, and it was very little. And, I noticed then how artists were so supportive. Like if someone forgot, a brush or a color, or everyone's here, and it wasn't really about the competition. So, and I know, Elaine, you have talked about that. Like I know the main trip, you would all, and that wasn't a competition, but you would all live together and cook and drink together afterwards. So tell me about that, because I imagine some days are pretty grueling being out in the elements.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the best thing about it is that everybody understands that the painting comes first. So if somebody can't be at dinner because they're really excited about painting, a sunset or something, that's okay. And we just all agree, one person does dinner each night. So, you have one requirement, but, people are up at 5 and out at, painting in the evening, and we have a lot of fun. It's really great.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then, Jacalyn, you have gotten, more in the competition end of things. Do you have any stories where people were competitive, or it's kind of the same in your world with, especially that year of traveling, going to one competition after another?
Well, it was surprising to me, to be honest, because there are the artists who go like me to just sort of have fun and learn from it. But there are the people who are very competitive, and that's a learning experience too.
Yeah.
I think it's all good in that you have a variety of artists there at different levels, and everybody does learn from each other. I'm cutting back. I will say I'm cutting back a bit just because I found that being in the Brandywine Valley where I live, there's so much to see and do here that once I was on the plane and all the way in the other coast, I was like, wait a minute, why did I leave the house? So I am cutting back a bit, and but I still nevertheless love plein air work, and I do love hanging out with superb artists like Elaine and Valerie, who are stellar in their field and certainly have many more years experience than I do. So that's who I learn from, and in order to learn, you do have to attend a few events a year.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So Valerie, you kind of touched on it. How would you describe the studio work compared to the plein air work? What information you use, what you don't, let's get in the heart and soul of the actual process of plein air. Cause I know you have to make decisions quick.
Yeah, you do. It gets easier the more you do it. I know for myself, if I don't paint outside for a while, it's like starting all over again. I get really rusty. What I love about painting outside is I'm just responding to what is right there. I'm in the midst of the atmosphere, the cold, the wind, the people. Oh yeah, like that. That was so fun. That's a big fan. And it was so invigorating. The water was coming at us. There were two other artists right there. We kept backing up, and I had visions of being floated out to sea. But you can feel the power of those waves, and then trying to get that onto your canvas. There's nothing like it. And the studio, you have time to plan, to really carefully design a canvas. But I don't think you get the same vigor that you can get when you're just experiencing whatever you do in nature. And I'm kind of a junkie for weather. I like the rougher the elements, the better.
Oh my gosh. See, I would be like, oh, I'm rolling over. If it's cold and rainy, I'm going to go down there and paint. So Elaine, can you add to that? How do you feel with that?
Well, it's funny because I also feel that plein air painting for me tends to be more social than working in the studio, which is very, personal. It's just very contained and alone. And that can be good when you want to be really focused, but it's fun to be outside and especially if, you're painting in town or something.
Yeah, look at that. I love that. That's Nancy B.
That was actually yesterday or the day before. I forget.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, we just went out and painted together. So that was great.
Fun.
No, what I was going to say is if you're trying to paint in an urban area or something, you're getting constant interest from other people. And sometimes it's negative. Sometimes you just don't want them to come near you, but a lot of times it's really fun. People come up and, chatting and telling you what they like about your painting. And no, that was a rainy day. That was just showing how in the competitions you have to paint no matter what, and that can be hard if it's a rainy day, and the umbrella doesn't always work too well.
Right. It can probably knock over your easel. So Jacalyn, you painted out here. I know it wasn't a competition; it was just kind of for fun. And you were selling right off your easel. So does that happen normally? People get so enthralled in watching you that they're like, I want to buy it?
Well, it does happen. And it's really a gift when someone comes by and appreciates what it is that you're doing outside at the moment, because it certainly is not for the faint of heart. You really have to not only concentrate on what you're doing, but also have that other side of you that is able to talk and educate the people who are standing around answering questions. And it does happen quite often, actually. I'm happy about that. It's a gift when somebody likes what it is that you're doing and can get in the zone with you. and appreciate it. So I think that is part of plein air painting. It's not just about going out and seeing and painting and enjoying yourself, but there is an element of enjoying educating others and, making a lot of friends. When I say on my website that you make friends, human and animal, I'm not kidding. There's a lot of wildlife in where you are, which I just love. One time I was painting up in Westchester and the owl was out during the day watching. Clearly, I looked up and there he was. And I was like, what a neat thing. And of course, the birds are always singing around you. I really believe that the squirrels have dropped nuts on my head. They say they don't, but I'm convinced they do it to get rid of me. I don't know. But I can't say enough about plein air. I think that's how I learned to paint. And it's very hard being inside. I want to do more studio work, but every time I do some studio work, I think, boy, I wonder what the weather's like outside. It's all that fresh air.
Oh my God, I love
Jacalyn, you're making me think. I had a horse walk off with my paint kit. One time, come over and pick up my backpack and walk off. Another time, I heard stamping behind me, and I looked around, and there were 3 Black Angus cows right there. They started licking my palate.
Yeah. Well, 2 things to add to that is that I was in Texas where they have free range. There aren't any fences, and these huge cows came like hurtling toward me, and I picked up and ran because I was really not sure what they would do. And the second story was not too far from my house. There's a big horse farm, and but evidently there were goats as well. So I'm standing there painting, and the goats just come up and slither through those fences and grabbed my paintbrushes and started them. I'm like, you're gonna get sick. I kept saying you're gonna get sick. I quickly grabbed the phone and took pictures of them because no one would believe me, and I have the pictures to prove it.
Oh, that is so funny. I love it. So what do you feel about photography, using photography in the process? Elaine, can you?
Yeah, I mean, I like to have that option. At a lot of these events, you're not allowed to use photography at all. But when I don't have that constraint, I do use it, especially if I'm going to put people in. I like to have that reference to maybe, touch it up a bit later, or, capture something that I know is fleeting, or, the sun's constantly going in and out of clouds. Sometimes it's helpful.
Yeah.
But, we're just so spoiled with the iPhone. You couldn't do that in the past. You couldn't take pictures while you were painting.
You're showing your age now. Oh, that's so funny. So Beth A just commented that outside's wonderful. She's another amazing artist that loves plein air, and I love her work. So thank you, Beth, for watching. So what about what's going on in the world now as far as competition? So Valerie, is Wayne having their plein air? Are they doing it? Again, it's not my world. So
yeah, they're going to postpone till next May. They were concerned about housing the artists, and the comfort level of the hosts on this end. I'm actually going to be participating in Olmsted plein air, which takes place in Atlanta, Georgia. They are going through, they're doing a combination of virtual and on-site. And they actually held their event last spring and did it completely virtual. And they allowed the artists to paint near their home or wherever they were, and submit the work. And then they had a virtual awards ceremony that everybody could tune in to from across the country.
That's kind of cool. That's a nice pivot. Was there timed? I guess it was.
Oh, they gave you a long space of time, and in fact, this year they invited the same artists back, and they are giving us a lot of time to submit a number of paintings that will be in their virtual gallery, and then 2 plein air, 2 pieces that are done on location. And then they're inviting artists to come down for about 5 days to Atlanta and paint in different venues where public can come and watch.
Oh, that's wild. That's great. Because just even our little world here, we had to think of different ways to do what we do. So it's nice that that's still continuing.
Yeah.
And then hopefully the following year we'll be back to normal. Jacalyn, do you think you're going to be, applying to 100 different shows in a year, or you're over that?
I'm over that. In fact, the weird thing was in 2019, it's exactly what you said. I was going to like 1 a month. In some cases, it was like 2 a month. It was just seemed to be a lot of traveling away from home. So in 2019, I had made a conscious decision not to apply to only but 2 or 3 things in 2020. And then this happened, which really, to be honest with you, really then didn't impact me. I know it impacted a lot of artists, but it didn't impact me in a significant way.
Yeah.
So I really think like choosing and picking, now that I know what they are and where they are and, how they're run and, all of that, I think it's more prudent in my case to pick the 2 or 3 that I really want to attend, and whether that be a new one or one that I know is, a long-standing show with, good sales. Those are the kind of factors that'll now come into play. And I guess what I'm saying is, as a novice, I liked pretty much everything to learn about it. And now I'm at a point where I believe I can be a little more judicious.
Yeah, that's smart. Now, Elaine, do you think you'll be grabbing the girls and going to Maine this summer, or you're going to put it off a year?
I'm not sure. I think that there may be a trip, but September might not really work for me. So it might not include me. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we love.
I mean, I think there'll be smaller things. I mean, I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do this summer because still up in the air with COVID and travel.
Yeah, I know, we're all there, but I do love that we did a Maine exhibit, like I said, and the compositions were so gorgeous. I mean, it really was a great show. So let's talk about close to home. So first, I'm going to stay with you, Elaine, and this is your painting that's here. I love it. It is Painter Under the Bridge. And tell me a little bit about that.
Well, actually, that was done during Brandywine Plein Air like a year or 2 ago. Well, I guess it's at least 2 years ago now. And there were a number of artists painting at this site by the Brandywine. And I just thought it was cool to include another painter in it. So there was somebody painting right there under the bridge. There was a lot happening in the,
Mm-hmm.
composition, and I just like the fall. I love the fall colors. Like that's my favorite time to paint, is getting those golds and oranges in.
Yeah. So that's amazing. And I imagine fall's very nice weather, so that helps.
It can be cold and rainy, but
yeah, that's true.
Nice day, I think.
You can't tell anymore. And then Valerie, we have, oh wait, I have the wrong one. I have the wrong one. I love this one though, the garlic. I meant to take that one down, late day snack. So here, you talk about it.
Okay. So a few artists, we got together in the fall and went out to an orchard one day and painted, and we kind of took turns organizing a location and then just meeting up. And actually Jan Weir, who's in the gallery, I think in this show, she invited us to paint on a flower farm. And it's one of those times when you're outside, sometimes everything speaks to you and sometimes nothing speaks to you. And you just know you gotta put yourself, plunk your easel down and start. And I was really drawn. I like to think about what am I drawn to, and that big tree really captured me. And there were fields of flowers. They were pretty organized in rows, but I wanted to use them as a way to get around and into that tree. So then I also take some creative license, and you don't have to paint just what you see. As an artist, people do say, that's not there. That wasn't right there. You can move things, adjust it for the painting.
Yes. Well, I find that, like, I was an art student and I never got to, to your level, obviously. And that's what I realized, colors you add, and it's like, I don't see that, and that's where your talent surpasses. I can say it to all 3 of you. You see things that aren't there or could be worked better. And I guess, plein air, you make those decisions quicker because, have you ever, sticking with you, Valerie, have you ever said, oh my God, this is just not my day?
Oh,
to
yes.
paint? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially when I go out to paint snow and I forget my white paint, or I get to a location and I forgot my easel, and then I just kind of rationalize and say, part of it was just the getting there. Part of it was learning to be prepared.
Yeah.
But if I don't have it, I don't have it, and I can scrape it off, and then I have a nicely toned canvas for the next time.
There you go. That's great. And then Jacalyn, we have an actual painting that's not in the Close to Home exhibit, but in your upcoming exhibit here, you have a solo here next month. We'll talk about that, but this is called The Invitation. So tell us about this.
Oh, this has a cute little story behind it. So this is in Port Salerno. It was one of my forays into plein air. I applied and I was accepted into what they called the Lighthouse Plein Air in Jupiter, Florida. So I thought, I'd like to see what it's like there. And it was lovely. This is Port Salerno, which is right outside of Jupiter. And I was intrigued by the little floats on the boat. I thought, isn't that interesting how they're all lined up? And then there was an American flag. And I thought, this is me. So I just stood there, I should say. I never sit down to paint. I stood there and I started to paint. Well, the interesting thing was that as I'm looking at the scene, now all of a sudden I see this guy sitting on the side of the boat. And he was there with a drink. And then I see a girl come out from down under in a little blue bikini.
Ooh, what's going on?
Right. So I'm like, this is kind of interesting. And I'm thinking, I wonder what's going on here. But I had already sort of sketched in the boat. And I'm like, okay, I'm putting you in. So I put him right in there. And in the end, I think it made the painting a lot more interesting. It's fun. The painting's been hanging in our own home for over a year. And people really like it because it's colorful and it's happy.
Yes. Yes.
And, one of the great oil painters of America, Ken Backus, told me a long time ago that your painting should draw people in from a distance, but when they get close, there should be a little surprise or something of interest. And so as a homage to Ken, I think this painting certainly does that, because when you do get up to it on the wall and see these two in conversation, it makes it a little bit more interesting.
How'd you get the title? I love the title.
Yeah, I don't want to get okay about it, but I'm thinking he was much older than her. You don't see that.
But what was the title again?
The Invitation. The Invitation.
He was pretty thin in the bikini. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Maybe 18 or 19. I don't know.
I love it. I love it.
You should have the beeper on and beep me when I say something like that.
No. That's all good. Hey, it's your experience, right? You saw what you saw.
It was a fun painting, and I thought it would be, they all have stories. Mm-hmm. They all have stories. And this one was, a fun story.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you all for joining us. I think we could talk for another 2 hours. And I just love, I want to thank you for your talents and your art. And
thank you, Andrea.
Yeah, you're all so special. So thank you for joining us today.
Wow. Thank you. Hi, Elaine. Valerie.
So now we're here. We are closing this show, this Close to Home, on Saturday. So please come out and see it. Our next show, like I said, is Jacalyn Beam, Mary Beth Kung, and Jeannie Gunther. So that will be opening April 7th, and it goes to May 1st. Excuse me. The reception, we're going to do a ticketed reception on April 8th. So go to the website. You can buy a ticket. I shouldn't say buy because they're free. And we're doing time slots. So everyone feels safe and comfortable and can enjoy a glass of wine and the beautiful art for the next show. So that reception is April 8th. So we're also going to do a live. So tune in if you're not local. So that's everything. Again, I thank my guests. They were phenomenal. They're such talented artists. And please come see the show by Saturday.